Imagine opening your annual employee benefits package.
Okay.
You flip past the standard medical, the dental, the vision coverage,
The usual stuff.
right, the 401k matching tiers. But right there, sandwiched between your short-term disability and your commuter benefits, is a guaranteed 15% discount on a premium wedding DJ.
Which is definitely not standard.
Not at all. And next to that, there's a link to a dedicated portal offering you like step-by-step guidance on how to negotiate a delicate cultural clash with your future mother-in-law.
Without ruining the reception, hopefully.
Exactly. And buried beneath all of this highly personalized, deeply intimate logistical and emotional support is a hidden multi-million-dollar profit engine quietly funneling capital back into your CEO's wallet.
Yeah, it's wild.
Today, we are taking a deep dive into a radical transformation of the corporate perk. Our source material is this fascinating strategic document titled Corporate Gifting and Employee Wedding Perks, a powerful new B2B revenue stream with Weddizer.
Which really lays out the aggressive financialization of the work-life merge. I mean, the traditional boundaries where the office ends and your personal life begins, they haven't just blurred.
Wait.
They have been intentionally dismantled and monetized.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the baseline concept we're examining today, this integration of corporate gifting and dedicated employee wedding perks via platforms like Weddizer, it feels like a massive leap from our conventional understanding of human resources.
Completely. We were moving far beyond, the ping pong table in the break room or the stale Friday bagels.
Those were just localized distractions.
Exactly. What we are seeing now is a highly orchestrated, comprehensive suite of benefits, and it's specifically triggered by an employee's decision to get married.
We are talking about direct employer-negotiated venue discounts to combat the infamous wedding tax. We're seeing curated high-end gift hampers replacing the branded company mug.
Right. Nobody wants the mug anymore. And significantly, the allocation of dedicated paid leave strictly for wedding preparations.
Wait, paid leave just for planning?
Yeah. This is a separate bucket entirely from your standard PTO. It is the employer officially recognizing the sheer administrative burden of this specific life event.
Wow.
You add to that the direct access to sophisticated planning tools and expert guidance, and you really have a robust infrastructure supporting a single, highly personal milestone.
But the immediate question is why? I mean, why would an employer go to such extraordinary lengths for what is fundamentally a personal party?
Well, the psychology driving this shift requires us to examine the transition from transactional loyalty to emotional loyalty.
Right, because transactional loyalty is pretty fragile. I do a job, you pay me.
Yeah.
If a competitor offers a 5% salary bump, I jump ship.
Exactly, because the entire relationship is defined by the digits on your direct deposit. But emotional loyalty operates on an entirely different psychological register.
How so?
It establishes a dynamic where the employer actively and tangibly supports the employee's life outside the corporate firewall.
Ah, I see.
When an employer steps in and offers, say, an extra week of paid time off and a massive venue discount to mitigate the stress of wedding planning, they cease to be merely a source of income.
They become a benefactor.
Yes, exactly. They position themselves as a vital part of the employee's broader life narrative. Breaking that bond requires a competitor to offer much more than a slight salary increase.
Because they have to overcome a deeply rooted psychological tie, which gives a massive advantage in employer branding, especially in these hyper-competitive talent markets.
Absolutely.
If you're a top-tier engineer weighing 3 offers with roughly identical compensation, the culture becomes the tiebreaker.
Yeah, a company offering an entire infrastructure to support your major life transitions looks fundamentally different. It looks deeply empathetic.
Compared to a company offering, like, free kombucha on tap.
Right, the kombucha doesn't help you find a caterer.
But I do have a serious point of pushback here, because I'm looking for the boundary. I hear the argument about loyalty, but there is a profound difference between letting me work from home on Fridays and telling me how to manage my floral arrangements.
That's a fair point.
Doesn't HR risk immense liability if they start acting as a corporate fairy godmother? What happens when the company-endorsed wedding planner ruins the event?
Or the advice on managing family expectations backfires.
Yeah. Isn't this an incredibly dangerous level of intrusion?
Well, the liability risk is real, but you have to weigh it against the guaranteed measurable losses of doing nothing.
Meaning burnout.
Precisely. The reality of the modern post-remote work landscape is that the employer has already invaded the home. We are answering Slack messages at 10 at night.
Taking video calls from our kitchen tables.
Exactly, the wall is gone. So if the employer demands that level of integration and flexibility, the employee increasingly expects the organization to acknowledge their personal life in return.
It's like a mutual non-aggression pact.
That's a great way to put it. The employer knows with statistical certainty that an employee trying to plan a wedding while working full-time is going to be severely stressed.
Distracted, prone to costly errors.
Yes. So the perceived intrusion of offering a platform like Weddizer is actually a calculated defensive strategy. They are proactively managing that burnout risk.
To protect their investment in that human capital. So it's defensive strategy masquerading as pure generosity. That really reframes the entire dynamic.
It does.
The employer absorbs the slight risk of overstepping to guarantee the employee doesn't completely check out for 6 months.
Great.
So on the surface, making employees happy with these milestone perks is a brilliant retention play. But the strategic document we are analyzing reveals a hidden second motive that completely changes the calculus.
It really does.
This isn't just about the warm, fuzzy feelings of emotional loyalty. It is about cold, hard B2B revenue.
What's fascinating here is the complete inversion of the traditional HR model.
Yeah, talk about that.
Well, human resources and employee benefits have historically been categorized strictly as cost centers. Capital flows out of the company to maintain the workforce.
Healthcare premiums,
Yeah.
401k matches, wellness stipends.
Right, it's money out the door. But integrating a platform like Weddizer suddenly and fundamentally alters that financial reality. It turns the HR department into a potential revenue generator.
Let's dive into the mechanics of that pivot.
Mm.
Because Weddizer is positioned specifically as a B2B solution for organizations to manage these logistics, but it doubles as a growth engine.
Yes, and the strategic model relies on businesses partnering with wedding vendors, planners, and platforms through the Weddizer ecosystem.
To generate actual commissions.
Exactly. We are talking about an embedded affiliate program operating seamlessly within an employee benefits package.
It changes the entire paradigm of how software valuations in the HR space are calculated.
Oh, completely. Think about the flow. The employer grants the employee access to Weddizer as a perk to streamline their planning. The employee utilizes that corporate-sponsored portal to secure a photographer, a caterer, and a venue. And because the booking originated through that specific portal,
The vendors remit a percentage of the sale back to the platform.
yep, and subsequently back to the employer as a commission.
That is wild.
Go.
It is affiliate marketing brought inside the corporate firewall. Your employer is literally monetizing your purchasing power.
You really are.
If you have a massive enterprise workforce, say 10,000 employees, a predictable percentage are going to get married every single year.
And the average wedding runs into the tens of thousands of dollars.
Right, so the commission pool generated by that captive audience is staggering. The employer is stepping in to mediate a massive transaction that was going to happen anyway.
Taking a finder's fee in the process, this fundamentally alters how a CFO evaluates the return on investment of an employee benefits program.
Because if you can offset the initial cost of the HR software with the affiliate revenue generated by the employees utilizing it,
You create a self-sustaining benefit. In organizations with the right demographic makeup, it could surpass cost neutrality and become a net positive revenue stream on the balance sheet.
which totally makes sense of the incredibly aggressive marketing language surrounding this trend. You see pitch documents promising to help businesses make millions by transforming employee happiness into business growth.
Yeah, they aren't subtle about it.
Not at all. But for that revenue engine to actually turn, the platform itself has to be flawless. I mean, if the Weddizer portal is clunky or fails to actually solve the employee's problems, adoption rates plummet.
The bookings don't happen and the commissions evaporate.
Exactly. So we need to look at what the employee is actually experiencing when they log in. How is this tool curing the specific fictions of wedding planning?
It attacks the friction at its densest point, which is curation and logistics, specifically venue selection.
Finding the venue is always the nightmare, right?
Universally, it's cited as the most significant bottleneck in the planning process. Weddizer tackles this by offering highly curated venue listings tailored to distinct budgets, geographic preferences, and aesthetic requirements.
And we really have to understand the psychological weight of that curation. Planning a wedding is essentially the equivalent of taking on a secondary, part-time role as an event producer.
Oh, easily. It requires complex vendor coordination, intricate scheduling across dozens of micro deadlines, and severe budget management.
I think about the cognitive load of that process. I mean, the venue selection process isn't just an overwhelming buffet. That's too passive of an analogy.
What would you compare it to?
It's more like trying to run your complex Key3 corporate forecasting software on a computer where 80% of the RAM is already being hogged by a massive background program.
Oh, that's a brilliant way to put it.
Right. The employee is sitting at their desk attempting to finalize a client presentation, but their cognitive bandwidth is entirely consumed by comparing the corkage fees of a converted barn versus a downtown hotel ballroom.
Which is decision fatigue in its purest form.
Exactly. And Weddizer acts as a cloud server. It offloads that massive background program by taking the infinite variables of the open market and curating them down to 3 or 4 viable, pre-vetted options.
The platform frees up the local processor, the employee's brain, to actually function.
Yeah.
The psychological mechanism of decision fatigue dictates that we possess a finite reservoir of cognitive energy each day.
Right.
When an employee burns through that reservoir trying to source a florist, they have nothing left to allocate toward critical business decisions. HR professionals label the resulting behavior presenteeism.
Presenteeism, meaning they are physically in the office, logged into the network, but their productive output is effectively zero.
Exactly. They are mentally a million miles away, watching a ticking clock of personal deadlines.
So framing Weddizer as a perk is almost a misdirection. It is a highly calibrated productivity safeguard.
It really is.
The company is effectively saying, your cognitive bandwidth is critical to our quarterly goals, so we are going to outsource the project management of your personal life to this platform to ensure you stay focused.
It is ruthless efficiency, wrapped in the language of employee care. The logistics support minimizes the time spent wrestling with administrative friction.
Maximizing the time the employee can spend operating at peak capacity. But anyone who has navigated a wedding knows that the spreadsheets and the corkage fees are rarely the elements that trigger a genuine breakdown.
Oh, definitely not.
Logistics can be solved with a rigid timeline and a clear budget. The underlying strategic framework of Weddizer attacks an infinitely more volatile problem. And this brings us to the core of why this platform is so revolutionary in a B2B context.
Right, this is the really unique part.
We need to look closely at the articles and the guidance section of the website.
The relational and emotional component.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Weddizer dedicates significant, prominent real estate on their website to providing relationship and social etiquette guidance.
Which you wouldn't expect from an HR tool.
Not at all. The specific topics they focus on in these articles are highly revealing. We're talking about managing family expectations, handling cultural traditions, and maintaining healthy relationships.
Yeah.
You have to step back and ask yourself, why is a piece of B2B HR software sold to corporate executives functioning as a de facto relationship counselor?
It's a great question.
Why does your employer's benefit package have a vested financial interest in whether or not you know how to navigate a cultural tradition at your reception?
Well, to answer that, we have to analyze the social architecture of the modern wedding. A wedding is not a discrete event. It is a high-stakes emotional crucible where disparate family histories, intense financial pressures, and deeply ingrained cultural assumptions collide.
That sounds intense, but it's true.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture of the whole employee, we see that an emotionally compromised worker is infinitely more damaging to a company's bottom line than a logistically overwhelmed one.
Right, because a logistical error delays a meeting. An emotional crisis derails an entire quarter.
Exactly. Let's break down the specific example of managing family expectations that the website articles cover.
Let's do it.
In many cultures, the wedding is perceived less as a celebration of the couple and more as a reflection of the parent's social standing or a community obligation.
Oh, for sure. The friction generated by mismatched expectations is huge. Like parents demanding to invite 200 extended acquaintances while the couple wants an intimate gathering of 50.
That kind of conflict is toxic. It triggers severe anxiety, deep sleep deprivation, and sustained interpersonal conflict.
And an employee operating under those physiological and psychological conditions cannot possibly execute at a high level.
The cognitive load we discussed earlier is suddenly compounded by massive emotional distress. And the second critical area the Weddizer articles address handling cultural traditions is equally vital.
Yeah, the modern corporate workforce is incredibly diverse, which means modern marriages frequently involve the blending of different faiths, ethnicities, and fundamental assumptions about social etiquette.
Precisely. Navigating the integration of, say, a multi-day traditional Indian celebration with a secular Western ceremony requires an immense amount of diplomacy.
And education. A single misstep can cause permanent familial rifts. It is literally a geopolitical negotiation happening in a catering hall.
Yes. And Weddizer is stepping in as the UN diplomat.
By providing highly targeted, expert-backed articles and guidance on these exact scenarios, the platform is giving the employee actionable scripts
It offers psychological frameworks to de-escalate conflict, set healthy boundaries with overbearing relatives, and navigate these cultural landmines.
without detonating their mental health. It is proactive, preventative mental health care disguised as wedding planning.
Because the employer recognizes that waiting for the employee to burn out and request a formal leave of absence is incredibly costly.
Providing the tools to mitigate the emotional friction before it impacts performance is a strategic imperative. Think about the immense, almost incalculable value being delivered in that moment.
It's massive.
An employee is spiraling over a vicious argument regarding a religious tradition. They log onto the portal their company provided, and they find a nuanced, expertly written article that addresses their exact cultural dilemma.
Offering a clear, empathetic strategy for resolving it.
The relief experienced in that moment transcends any standard corporate benefit.
It creates a permanent psychological anchor. When an employee successfully navigates a highly volatile personal crisis, utilizing a resource their employer provided, the emotional loyalty is solidified.
In a way that salary simply cannot replicate. The company demonstrated profound foresight. They proved they understand the holistic reality of the employee's life.
So the article section isn't just filler content to make the website look nice.
No, it is the platform's secret weapon. It elevates the software from a transactional booking engine into a critical support system that protects the employee's peace.
Yep.
But having established how deeply this benefits the worker, curing decision fatigue, managing emotional crises, providing logistical shortcuts, we have to pivot back to the architecture of the business model.
Right, back to the money.
Because all of this empathy and foresight is ultimately engineered to generate capital. We really need to dissect the monetization playbook.
Well, the strategic framework outlines 3 specific models for generating revenue, moving the concept from theoretical cost avoidance into concrete cash flow.
Let's start with vendor partnerships. The model dictates that companies collaborate with wedding vendors through Weddizer to offer exclusive deals, earning commissions on the resulting bookings.
We touched on this briefly, but the underlying economics are fascinating when you view it through the lens of customer acquisition costs.
Okay, break that down for us.
The wedding industry is highly fragmented. Individual vendors, florists, photographers, specialized caterers burn massive amounts of capital trying to locate highly qualified leads at the exact moment they are ready to purchase.
Right, advertising in that space is incredibly expensive.
But the employer, leveraging the Weddizer platform, possesses the ultimate qualified lead list. They know exactly who is getting married.
And they know the individual's exact salary bracket.
Exactly. The platform approaches a premium vendor and offers guaranteed visibility to a high-income, highly motivated demographic locked within a corporate portal.
Wow.
In exchange for that frictionless customer acquisition, the vendor provides the employee a discount and remits a substantial commission back to the platform and the employer.
It leverages the sheer gravity of a captive audience. The vendor bypasses the chaos of social media ad spend, the employee secures a below-market rate, and the employer monetizes their own workforce's spending habits.
It is a perfectly closed-loop economy.
Unbelievable. Okay, so the second monetization method is corporate gift packages. The strategy involves creating customized premium wedding gift packages for employees through the platform.
Right.
But how does an employer purchasing a gift for their own employee generate revenue? Isn't that just a standard line item expense?
Well, the revenue is generated through B2B wholesale arbitrage.
Arbitrage. How does that work here?
Historically, an HR director might use a corporate card to buy a generic gift at full retail value. By routing this process through the Weddizer platform, the company accesses aggregated demand.
Because the platform represents thousands of corporations.
Exactly. So it commands deep, wholesale B2B pricing on luxury goods and experiences.
So the company allocates, say, a $500 budget for a wedding gift. Instead of getting $500 worth of retail value, they use the platform to secure an experience that retails for $1,000.
But it only costs the company their initial $500 due to the wholesale tier.
Ah, I see. That is brilliant.
Precisely the mechanism. They double the perceived value of the gift in the eyes of the employee, driving up that emotional loyalty we discussed.
While simultaneously maximizing the return on investment of their hard capital.
The revenue in this specific model is realized through radical cost efficiency and outsized impact per dollar spent.
Which brings us to the third method, subscription-based services. This one raises a really complex question about how we measure return on investments.
It does.
The model suggests organizations subscribe to platforms like Weddizer paying a monthly or annual fee to offer these premium planning services as part of the broader benefits package.
Yes.
If the company is absorbing a massive subscription cost, is the ROI measured strictly in the back-end vendor commissions flowing back to them, or is the true value hidden in the soft costs of retention?
It is a hybrid, definitely, but the soft costs are where the true financial impact lies. And any sophisticated CFO understands this.
Walk us through that math.
The cost of replacing a highly skilled, fully integrated employee is catastrophic. It ranges from 1/2 to 2 times their annual salary when you factor in recruiting, lost institutional knowledge, diminished team productivity, and training.
Okay.
So if a senior analyst making $120,000 a year burns out and quits because they couldn't balance their workload with the stress of a mismanaged wedding?
The company is looking at a minimum $60,000 replacement cost.
Exactly. If the company pays a $50,000 annual enterprise subscription to Weddizer, and the logistical and emotional support provided by the platform prevents just one senior analyst from walking out the door.
The software is instantly paid for itself.
Yep. Every vendor commission collected after that point is pure, unadulterated profit.
The commissions basically subsidize the cost of the retention tool, making the entire emotional loyalty engine essentially free to operate.
That's the brilliance of the model.
And this requires us to look closely at the marketing angle inherent in this entire strategic framework. Because when you review the pitch documents and the targeted metadata titles, like how businesses are making millions with Weddizer, it is clear that the language of HR is fundamentally shifting.
Oh, absolutely. This isn't a plea to an executive sense of empathy.
No, it is a hard, aggressive pitch to the finance department.
It takes traditionally soft, qualitative HR concepts like employee well-being, happiness, work-life balance, and ruthlessly repackages them into the quantitative language of B2B revenue.
Cost avoidance and maximize lifetime value of the employee.
You no longer have to convince a board of directors that they should care about a worker's cultural traditions or family stress.
You simply show them the spreadsheet detailing the commission revenue and the six-figure retention savings generated by the article section that manages those traditions.
It perfectly aligns the financial incentives of the corporation with the deeply personal well-being of the employee.
Which is fascinating because, historically, those vectors have been completely opposed. The corporation seeks maximum output for minimum investment.
And the employee seeks maximum compensation for sustainable effort.
Right. But this model creates a startling synthesis. The healthier, happier, and more supported the employee is during their practical milestones, the more the company financially benefits through back-end monetization and sustained productivity.
Which is a highly effective, if somewhat sobering, evolution of the social contract.
So true.
The employer solves a massive personal crisis for the worker, and in doing so, opens a new profit center.
So what does this all mean for the broader trajectory of the corporate environment? If this Weddizer model is the blueprint, and all the strategic data suggests it is rapidly becoming the standard, what does the future of the employee-centric workplace actually look like?
Well, the baseline conclusion is that the era of monolithic, one-size-fits-all benefit packages is over.
The standard health and dental isn't enough anymore.
No, the workplace is becoming hyper-employee-centric, not out of altruism, but driven by sheer competitive necessity and the realization of these hidden revenue streams.
So the future is a bespoke menu of life milestone support systems engineered right into the fabric of the company.
Exactly. If you are getting married, you are routed into the Weddizer track, complete with venue curation, cultural guidance articles, and vendor commissions.
And if you are adopting a child, you are routed into a specialized track, offering logistical legal support, emotional counseling for the transition, and partner discounts with childcare networks.
Again, completely monetized on the back end. The company will deeply integrate itself into every major inflection point of your personal life.
Providing undeniable value while simultaneously generating affiliate revenue and cementing your long-term loyalty. It completely reframes how we view the corporate perk.
It really does. It is no longer a localized gesture of goodwill.
It is a highly sophisticated, dual-purpose mechanism It locks in emotional loyalty, it cures decision fatigue to keep you productive during personal crises, and it operates as a backdoor channel for enterprise revenue.
It is the ultimate monetization of the human experience within the corporate framework.
I want you, the listener, to analyze your own HR portal the next time you log in. Look past the standard deductibles and the gym memberships. Are you starting to see the edges of this new model?
It's probably already there.
Is your employer offering to guide you through a major life milestone? And if they are, look closely at the vendors they are recommending, the specific guidance they are offering. Because your personal milestones, your highest highs, and your most stressful transitions are quietly becoming a vital component of their B2B growth strategy.
The corporate gift has truly evolved into a point of sale.
To recap the terrain we've covered today, we started by examining the death of the transactional perk and the rise of emotional loyalty, driven by platforms that blur the line between professional output and personal well-being.
We broke down the Weddizer model, revealing how HR departments are pivoting from cost centers to revenue generators via embedded B2B affiliate programs.
We analyzed the profound psychological impact of curing decision fatigue through curated logistics, and we took a deep dive into the true secret weapon of the platform, the article section on the website.
We saw how providing targeted guidance on handling cultural traditions and managing family expectations isn't just about etiquette. It is a vital, preventative mental health strategy that protects corporate productivity.
Finally, we unpacked the monetization playbook, proving that wholesale B2B arbitrage and retention ROI can translate employee happiness into hard capital.
It is a radical reimagining of what an employer can and perhaps must be to their workforce in the modern era.
This raises an important question, one that builds directly on the architecture we've spent the last hour deconstructing.
Yeah.
We have seen how platforms like Weddizer prove that employers can successfully and highly profitably mediate the immense stress and expense of a wedding. They can navigate the cultural clashes, curate the venues, and take a commission while doing it.
Right.
But if the model is this robust, this effective at generating both loyalty and capital, what is the next frontier?
That is the million-dollar question.
What other deeply personal, inherently chaotic, and massively expensive life milestones, navigating the labyrinth of buying a first home, managing the immense logistical and emotional burden of elder care for an aging parent, or even executing a midlife career pivot, are already being packaged, polished, and quietly integrated into your corporate benefit package as the next great B2B revenue stream?